Ready, aim, fire. So many people have heard that saying over and over and over in their lives. Ready, aim, fire. But folks, I am here to tell you that that is not how life works. Ready, fire, aim is what you need to get in your mind. That's right. Ready, fire, aim. Folks, so often in life, the only thing that is stopping us is us. You know, the reason that this topic is on my mind is because I was looking at this cryptocurrency project that I am in the process of building and launching. And let me ask you guys a question. I've been involved in crypto since about 2016, really started taking it serious closer to the middle of 2017 or so. But 18, 19, 20, 21, I was basically full-time in crypto. Yeah, in 18 and part of 19, I still had a real job, but all I thought about was crypto. I was educating myself in crypto. Every waking moment was buying crypto, earning extra money for crypto, learning about crypto. So let me ask you a question. Do you think I was ready, that I had the knowledge, that I had the ability to launch a cryptocurrency project 4 or 5 years ago? Or do you think I wasn't ready until just now? I mean, I think the answer is pretty obvious, right? I was certainly ready 4 or 5 years ago. I could have started a crypto project back in 2021, but here it is 2025. Now, I'm not beating myself up. I'm excited that I'm doing it now, but why didn't I do it 4 or 5 years ago? And once again, I don't want to dwell on the past, but sometimes it's hard for me to not imagine what my life would be like today if I had gotten started 4 or 5 years ago, if I would have allowed myself to dream bigger. Folks, all of us every day in our life have fantastic ideas. We have these things that hit us. Maybe it's in our sleep, or we're just on the treadmill at the gym, and this amazing idea hits us. And before it ever has a chance to grow any kind of roots at all, to take real shape in your mind, you forget about it, you dismiss it, you decide that you're not worthy or you can't do it. So many things go through our minds. But folks, I'm here to tell you, like, have any of you ever shot a gun? So if you go buy a gun and you go to a gun range, or you go someplace where you want to, you want to be able to, you want to make sure when you own a gun that it shoots straight, that when you're shooting it, you know that you're going to hit what you're aiming at. So once again, it's you. Oh my goodness, these dogs are starting this up again right now. Here, give me 1 second, guys. I'll be right back. Where are they? Knock it off. Seriously. Quit. I tell you, this puppy stage is amazing, and I'll probably miss them when they're not puppies anymore. But I'm looking forward to a couple of more months going by when they're a little bit more controllable and they listen. But anyways, folks, like when you aim a gun, you aim it at your target and you shoot. And so often, especially if the gun is a little bit older. Oh my God. Especially if a gun is a little bit older and it's been used, a lot of times the sights will be off a little bit, folks. So you'll aim for what you know was like the middle of the bullseye, and the bullet will shoot off to the left or to the right. And so technically, yeah, you aimed, but really you had to fire. You had to fire a shot before you knew if your aim was true, if what you were doing made sense. And in business, 99.9% of the time, whatever you are aiming at, whatever you are going after, it is going to change and metamorphose, and it is going to, it is going to look totally different by the time you actually get to where you were trying to go than it did when you first started. But folks, most people quit because of the fear of the unknown. Most people never get started, I should say, because of the fear of the unknown. We talked about that, a few days ago. I can just, my buddy Kevin Blake Weldon is here again. And, I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, or maybe last week, that he's in the middle of, filming a movie. He wrote out a script called The Wish List. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be an incredible movie. And yeah, I know you broke my light. Yeah, he broke my light. Yeah, he ran through and broke my light, and now he's coming up and he wants loves. He wants to know that daddy ain't mad at him. Well, that's a little mad at you, pal. I is. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little mad at you, but it's hard to stay too mad at you, ain't it? I love you. Go play. Go break the light some more. But my point is, Kevin has had some amazing success in country music singing, but acting, and especially playing the lead role in his own movie, is something new, uncharted territory. And he'd never made a movie before. So when he decided that he wanted to create this movie, he didn't know anything about the movie business, or very little, I should say. And over the last couple of years, the path that he had to take, I promise you, is nothing like the path that he imagined he was going to take to create this movie. In fact, he'd probably be one of the first people to tell you that if he knew what the path was going to be like in advance, if he could see the path, he may or may not have ever decided that this movie was something that he wanted to do, because I know that he's learned so much, that he's gone through, so many challenges. But folks, I'm here to tell you that it's all worth it, man. It is all worth it. But the thing is most people, everybody wants to know everything before they get started. And I just, my call to action today is get started. Whatever it is that while I'm talking pops into your head, go do it. The only reason that this cryptocurrency project is taking place and is becoming realer and realer by the day is because I just got done listening to Mel Robbins, and she's got a book out called the 5-second rule, and it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, do it. And she basically tells you that when you come up with a great idea, you got about 5 seconds before your mind will start to talk you out of doing it. You're sitting there in a work meeting, and your boss is talking to you and a group of your coworkers, and he's asking for ideas. He wants, some input on something. You get this fantastic idea. You feel like you should raise your hand and tell the group. But then you start to think about, well, what if what I say doesn't make any sense? Or what if my coworkers think it's a stupid idea? Or what if this, or what if that? And within 5 seconds, your brain has talked you out of raising your hand and giving your boss the good idea. You're thinking about getting in shape. You want to get healthy. You want to go get a gym membership. You think to yourself, you know what, man, today is the day I should go get a gym membership. In fact, I should probably go get a gym membership right now. And then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 in that 5 seconds. Oh yeah, but I got to pick up some groceries. Oh, that's right. I blah, blah, blah. You know what? I don't even have any gym shoes right now. I'm going to wait till I go get some gym shoes. Then I'll go get the gym membership. Your mind is beautifully crafted to keep you in inertia, to keep you out of activity. You have to decide and make action happen. It's not a natural human inclination. And so when this idea came to me and it just hit me right across the face, man, I took action immediately. But as I mentioned before, man, I could have had a cryptocurrency token out 4 or 5 years ago and probably had several more over the course of the last few years, because guess what? Everything I'm learning in how to launch this project is going to help me launch the second one and the third one and the fourth one and the fifth one. And I'm not saying that I'm going to jump all over the place and do a bunch of different cryptocurrency projects. It's all going to be based around the first cryptocurrency project. Oh, for goodness sakes, pal. Come here. Lay down. Lay down. Go to sleep. So, but everything that I learned in doing these this first one is going to allow me to do the second one much smoother, less challenges, learn from my mistakes, and then so on and so forth. The third one, the fourth one, the fifth one. But guys, it's been 9 years. I've been in crypto 9 years and I hadn't created a cryptocurrency project. So, who's to say I could have woke up at 75 years old and never started a cryptocurrency project. And I think that's important, folks, that so many of you that are watching this channel are probably younger than me. I know there's a few of you that are in my age range, but there's so many of you that are in your late teens, early 20s, your 30s. And I think you sometimes feel like you have all the time in the world. And in some ways you do. But I'll never forget when I was 21 years old, I told a good friend of mine, man, I'm not in a hurry to do that. I'm not in a hurry. I want to chase girls. I want to have fun. I got the rest of my life to go out and become wealthy and create financial freedom. I just want to have fun, man. I'm 21 years old. I got forever. And seriously, folks, those were some of the worst words that I ever probably spoke in my life. That mentality, having that mentality hurt me in so many ways because I woke up, at 35, 40, 45 years old, still broke because the time just never got right. When I was 21, I was too young. I was too busy chasing girls. I was too busy having fun. By the time I was 30, I was married, looking at starting a family, and just, one thing after another. And so draw a line in the sand today and go for it. Don't quit on your daydream. I don't even remember who said this, but one of my favorite sayings, or one of the things that I think a lot about in my life, is that the average person dies when they're about 25 or 30. It just takes about 40, 50 more years before they actually go get buried. And it's the whole reason that this YouTube channel exists is because of that saying. Like, how sad is that, guys? When you really think about it, the average person dies at 25, 30, 35 years old, but they stick around on this earth for another 40 or 50 years before they get buried. In other words, most people by the time they're 30 or 35 have been beaten down so badly by the world that they're just laying down in the dirt in a crumpled up little ball, and they're just going through the motions. They get up in the morning, they brush their teeth, they go to work, they come home, they have a couple of beers, they watch some Netflix, they go to bed, and then they do it all over again tomorrow. They're the thank God it's Friday club. Like, no offense to you if you're one of those. It's like, thank God it's Friday. I'm not judging you. I'm not down on you. But I never wanted to be one of those people. See, I wanted to create a life for myself where I had 6 Saturdays and a Sunday. There's no such thing as Friday because I don't have a boss telling me when I got to get up and when I got to be at work. I don't have to be under another man or woman's thumb. And from a very young age, I knew that I wanted that. But most people are just getting up and going through the motions. It's like Groundhog Day over and over and over. And what I'm asking you to do, what I'm imploring you to do, is to take a few minutes and understand that God made you perfect. He made you in his image. And in my opinion, and I believe with all of my heart, he put you on this earth to do something special. God has a plan for your life. And I just ask that you would be open. Gosh, Tom, are you kidding me? I just ask that you would be open to exploring and trying to find what that purpose might be. Because I can tell you, even being on the path, just even being on the path to finding what that purpose is is an amazing point to be at life. Once you understand, hey, I'm here to do more than I'm currently doing, I'm telling you, even if it took you 10 years to figure out what you were supposed to be doing, and you're trying things and they don't work, and so you try something new and you don't work, and you're talking to God and you're trying to find your purpose, you're going to have such a joyful existence and a blissful time here on this earth compared to when you just feel like you're just here to exist, like you're just here to do what you're doing. And just, like, seriously, think about it. If you believe in God, if you're a Christian, but whether you're a Christian or not, but if you believe in a higher power, you believe that there's this incredible being, this God that created you and put you on this earth, does it make sense that he put you on this earth so that you could spend your whole life working just to exist? Like, does it make sense? Do you think God put us here on this earth to work 40, 50, 60 hours a week just so we could make enough money to barely, pay our bills, pay our rent, pay our mortgage, pay our car payment, and eat? Like, what would be the point of that? Like, I believe in a good, loving God. I don't think that God is up there, with a magnifying glass, putting it into the sun and shining it down on us and, like ants. God loves us and he's looking down on us. And I think it must break his heart sometimes to see these incredible human beings that he made with so much potential that can do just about anything in the world that they set their mind to, come down here, and 95% of the human population just lives a fairly pitiful, meaningless existence. And folks, if you feel like I'm talking to you, I'm not here to offend you. I'm here to love you. They say that a friend will tell you what you want to hear, but that a true friend, a person that really loves you and is there for you, is going to tell you what you need to hear. And so, folks, I'm here to tell you what I think you need to hear. And if I'm wrong, go ahead, turn off the computer, unsubscribe for the channel. And from the bottom of my heart, I still love you. And so if what I'm talking about rubs you the wrong way and you don't want to hear it anymore, fine. But I'll also tell you this, man. One of my other favorite sayings, a guy named Jesse McPherson said this, and the first time that I heard it, it's like stuck with me. This is 20 years ago. He says, the truth will set you free, but first it's going to piss you off. And I've seen that over and over and over in my life. The truth will set you free, but first it's going to piss you off. You're going to get mad. There's a gentleman named Ed Milet that I love very much. And he made a Facebook post one time saying something along the lines of, for those of you with stress and anxiety and depression, the good news is all you have to do is start living to your full potential to get rid of all of that. And I don't want to throw my wife under the bus, but my wife is somebody that, that has just, had some tough times in her life. And for whatever reason, that really bugged her. So she didn't like Ed Milet because of that. She just, like, that really bugged her. And it kind of goes along with, I used to have this meme on my Facebook page that just said, happiness is a choice. And when I told my wife in the beginning of our relationship that happiness was a choice, she kind of wanted to just punch me in the face. And because she didn't believe that. She didn't believe that happiness was a choice. She believed that the stress and the anxiety and the depression was just kind of how it was supposed to be. And I'm here to tell you, folks, that if you're stressed out, if you're full of anxiety, if you're full of depression, you're not living up to your full potential. Because I promise you, people that are living up to their full potential, that are going for it in life, man, some of the best times in my life was when I was broke and going through the toughest times of my life, eating top ramen. But I had that picture, I had that goal, I had that dream, the light at the end of the tunnel that I was heading for. And so, folks, if you're laying around on the couch and you're 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds overweight, if you believe right now, if you jumped up and tried to run a mile out of your house, that you wouldn't probably get more than 100 feet. And if you're broke because you know you're not applying yourself at your job and you're just going through the motions, you know, they say that a job stands for just over broke. And most people that work at a job are doing just enough to where they don't get fired, and the boss is trying to pay you just enough to where you don't quit. Folks, if you start living in excellence, go in and be the best employee that your boss has ever seen. Start showing up early. Go in and ask your boss, hey, I got all of my work done. Is there anything else that I can do to be helpful? Really show your boss that you are there. In other words, think about your boss and be like, how can I make my boss's life better? And I know that that is a contrarian opinion, that 99% of employees don't give a crap about their boss's life. And the last thing in the world that they're thinking about is how they can make their boss's life better, or the owner of the company that they work for more profitable. But those are the types of things that will get you noticed. Those are the types of things that will move you and propel you in life. If you want to own a company, if you want to be the boss, man, do you want to be a boss whose employees love you and whose employees are trying to move you forward and they're excited when your business is going good? They're excited for you. Or do you want to be a boss where all of your employees could care less and have no desire to do anything other than just the bare minimum that you're paying them to do? Well, of course, if you owned the company, you'd be looking for the people that were ready to go the extra mile. And let me ask you this. If you owned a company and you got 10 employees, 20 employees, 50 employees, and 49 of them show up at 8:59 in the morning when they're supposed to be there at 9, and 49 of them are packing up their computer at 4:59 at night when they're time to leave at 5, and 49 of them are showing up, 10 or 15 minutes late. Instead of taking an hour for lunch, they're taking an hour and 15 minutes. And you're the one person that shows up a half an hour early. You're the one person that if things need done, you're willing to stay a half an hour late. You're the person that goes and takes a 30-minute lunch break and then comes back and says, hey, boss, I've got an extra 30 minutes. Is there anything that I can do for you? Do you or do you not believe that over the course of 3 months, 6 months, a year, the owner of that business is going to take notice? And when there's something that needs to be done that takes more responsibility and is worth a lot more money to the boss, who do you think he's going to go to? So my point is, folks, you've got to start to take control of your destiny. You've got to quit playing the victim. Right now in 2025, I believe that one of the worst parts about society is that we've been taught to play the victim, that being the victim it gets you attention. You're on social media. Well, I was molested when I was 8 years old. And man, that celebrity comes out and talks about that. And he gets a lot of heartfelt love and support, and everybody's feeling, sorry for him, and everybody's loving on him, and people are liking his posts. And that's all. I mean, that's great. Like, coming out and letting people know that you've had trauma in your life like that is a blessing. And so I'm not saying that they shouldn't do that, but there's so many people that just play the victim. Like, being molested when you're young would be a traumatic, horrible experience. But once again, I can show you dozens and hundreds and thousands of people that were molested when they were young that have had amazing lives. Have you ever studied some of the great people? Like, now, I don't agree with Oprah Winfrey on politics and a lot of stuff like that, but if you go read Oprah Winfrey's story, you will not believe that I think she was the first Black lady billionaire in the world. I could be wrong about that, but if she wasn't the first, she was right up there. But you go read her story. I can't even remember it. Keanu Reeves, famous actor, one of my favorite movies, Point Break, with him and Patrick Swayze. If you go look at his story, you look at his struggle, you look at what he went through in his life, he's not supposed to be an A-list actor. I mean, but what does that mean? Like, he's not supposed to be. What does that mean? Like, folks, more often than not, in fact, not more often, like all the time, I very much believe that everything happens for me, not to me. You know, I got into a car wreck. You know, I didn't get into a car wreck, but, you know, I got into a car wreck and it cost me $3,000 that I didn't have. And it was a real pain in the butt. Well, I believe that that happened for me. And whether it happened for me or not, the fact that I believe it happened for me turns a negative situation into a positive situation, because I'm looking for, like, who did I meet? What relationship did that create? You know, folks, like, I've had some crazy, crazy times in my life where something seemingly bad happened, and then I can look back at it a year later, 5 years later, and see that it was the most incredible thing that could have ever happened. So, folks, I know I'm kind of rambling and I'm going all over the place here, but man, I'm just trying to wake you up. I know that if you're watching this channel, you've got dreams and you're looking to create financial freedom. But I promise you that just about every single one of you, including me, we're not doing things in our life that we could be, that would be the rocket fuel to our jet, that would propel us to where we want to be faster than we ever thought was imaginable. Folks, we're taking the slow path. You know, in my opinion, you don't walk up and knock on the door to success. You walk up and you break the effing door down. You kick your way through it. You smash it. You bust through it. You don't sit there and knock, 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 knock until the stupid door finally opens up. In fact, unless somebody's on the other side opening the door for you, knocking on the door's never going to do you anything. Sometimes you got to just go for it, guys. And so often in life, the reason we don't go for it is because we're afraid. And, you know, I heard somebody say recently something that I thought was very, very powerful. The difference between fear and anxiety is that fear is real. If somebody busted through my door right now, 2 or 3 guys with black masks and guns busted through my door, and I was afraid, that would be real fear. Me at night not being able to fall asleep because I am imagining 3 guys busting through my front door with guns is anxiety. And what most folks do their whole life is they let anxiety, they let imagination stop them from doing things. Fear is real, and fear should be, you know, taken seriously. When you're really seriously afraid, there's usually a real good reason for it. And fear is designed to kick in your adrenaline and put you in a position like, if those 3 people did come breaking through the door while I was having that fear, the adrenaline would pump through me to give me a better chance of defending myself. The laser focus, like, I guarantee you, while those 3 men were doing whatever they were doing, and while I was doing whatever I was doing, I wouldn't be daydreaming about, is Bitcoin going to go to 100,000 or is it going to dip down to 78? I wouldn't be thinking about what's for lunch or what's for dinner, or I wouldn't be thinking about that, you know, the way that I said something to somebody yesterday that I wish I could take back. I would be so focused, so in the zone. Like when Michael Jordan was playing basketball, do you think he was thinking about what he was going to be doing the following week? Do you think he was worrying about some sponsorship contract that wasn't going the way that it was supposed to go? No, man. For those 48 minutes while he was on that court, he was singularly focused on one thing, and that was winning. And folks, I'm here to tell you, you guys need to get focused and be singularly focused on that one thing that's going to change your life. Because I'm here to tell you that money isn't everything, but man, it ranks right up there with oxygen. If you don't have any, It's hard to breathe. When you got bill collectors, when you're a couple of days away from your electricity getting turned off or your water getting turned off, or you're a month or two behind on your car payment and you're having to park your car in somebody else's driveway instead of your own because you're afraid it's going to get repoed, that's real. That's real life. So many people will try to tell you that money doesn't matter, and they're full of crap. And they're always broke people. You never hear a rich person tell you money doesn't matter. And I'm here to tell you, yeah, money isn't everything. I would trade all of the money in the world that I've ever made for another hour with my dad. I would trade all of the money in the world to be able to make sure that I was able to, have my wife and my kids. They are priceless. Money's just a tool. But at the same time, I'm here to tell you guys, for you guys listening, and I hope this doesn't offend you women, but man, if you're a guy out there and you ain't got any money, you're probably going to have some lady problems. And it's not because they're bad ladies. It's because God put them here on this earth to, have babies and to raise families and to create new life. And their role, they need security. They need a man. They need a provider. So if you're broke and your wife's unhappy and she's grumpy and she's hard to get along with and you think, man, maybe I'd be better off without her, I'm here to tell you, quit thinking like that and understand that she was made that way, that God made her to want security, to look up to a provider. If she can't respect you because you're not bringing enough money into the household to provide for you and your kids, then yeah, she probably has a right to be unhappy, folks. And I'm here, man, I know I'm probably spitting out some stuff that's going to cost me a couple of subscribers, but I'm here to tell you, money is important. And the reason it's important is because you need it. For whatever reason, the world has decided that you got to have money. If you ain't got no money, you ain't got no food. If you ain't got no food, you're one of the people out there standing on the street with a sign in your hand, hoping that people will take pity on you and give you enough money so that you can have some food. If you don't have no money, it's pretty hard to find a place to live. There's very few people that are just so generous that they're going to pay your rent for the rest of your life. So let's quit acting like money ain't important, and let's call it like it is. Money is important. Outside of the relationships that you have with your loved ones and your relationship with God, money is the most important thing. And the thing is most people want to dance around the fact and act like money ain't that important. And because they act like it ain't that important, they spend their whole lives chasing it, never catching it. And by the time they're 50, 60, 70 years old, they're still working. Man, I know so many people that are in their 70s that are still working, and it's not because they're trying to stay busy. It's because they're broke. They got to 70 with no retirement. They got to 70 with nothing but their Social Security, and their Social Security ain't cutting it. So they're working part-time at Safeway, bagging groceries. And I'm not down on anybody that's bagging groceries. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm telling you, if you know people that are 70, 80 years old that are still working, I promise you that was not the intention for their life when they took off into this world at 18 years old. And that's what I'm talking about the people that get beaten down by life and by 30 years old are dead, but they just spend the next 40, 50 years living. And I've known many of them. My mom, God rest her soul, she was an incredible woman. She was an incredible, incredible mom. And she actually did something that I think was fairly spectacular, guys. She worked in retail, never making a whole lot more than minimum wage, but she was able to amass enough money to where when she retired at 62 years old, she never had to worry about money again. Even if she hadn't had her Social Security. Well, what did she do, you ask? Well, the thing that she did is she lived beneath her means. No matter how much money she was making, she always saved at least 10% of her money. We talked about that a few episodes ago, that's one of the most important critical habits that you guys can put into your life. The second smart thing that she did was she bought a little 1-bedroom condo back. I mean, this was probably, I don't know, maybe, let me see, 13, I was 13, 1987, 1988, somewhere around 1988, between 1988 and 1990, she bought a little condo for about 40 grand. By the time she sold it, it was worth like $175,000, and she had it almost paid off. So about the time she got ready to retire, she had $175,000. She'd been renting it for several years at that point too. She ended up moving out of it and renting it. But the other thing that she did is she socked away every dollar that she could into her 401k. So she was one of the people that made it financially. You know, she still had several $100,000 laying around when she passed away at 74 years old. But on the flip side, the thing, like, that's incredible. I'm glad. I mean, like, I wanted to say some nice stuff because my mom was incredible. And the thing is she proved that you could do well financially, even if you don't make a lot of money. But on the flip side, folks, the reason that the main reason I started to bring this up was, you know, she didn't enjoy life at all. She literally was one of those people that at a very young age just gave up on any kind of above average life. She gave up on being successful. She gave up on any dreams. In fact, one thing I can say about my mom, I love her to death. I never, ever, ever, ever remember her talking about any goals or dreams, anything that she was striving to achieve in the future. On the flip side, my dad was one of the biggest dreamers that I knew. And thank God he rubbed off on me, because I know that I am the way that I am, because as a little boy, I was watching these two different individuals, and thank God I chose to be like my dad, because my mom was negative and pessimistic and unhappy a lot of the time. My dad, no matter what the circumstances were, was always positive, was always excited about life, was always excited about the next challenge, about the next thing that he was going to do, the next thing he was going to overcome, the next business he was going to start. You know, when I got involved in crypto, I told my mom about crypto, and she talked to my sister, and she came back to me and said, "Gosh, Brad, I don't know, if I make a lot of money in crypto, I'm going to have to pay a lot of taxes." And I wanted to pull my hair out. In fact, that's why I'm bald now. I pulled my hair out when my mom said that. I wanted to tell her, "Are you kidding me, Mom? So you'd be upset if you made $1 million in crypto and you had to pay 300,000 or 400,000 of it in crypto, but you still had 500,000, 600,000, 700,000 more than you did?" Like, crazy negative. My dad, on the flip side, when I told him about crypto, he's like, "How do I get started, man?" He was the first person that I ever talked to about crypto that got a Coinbase account, that got an Uphold account, that got a MetaMask, that started buying. Every time I came to him with a crazy idea for a crazy token we ought to buy, he just said okay and sent me some money. So it's you know, money is important, guys. In order to not be stuck at work on a Friday night because your boss needs you, but your son is playing, you know, a football game that he would really love to see you at, you got to have money. In order to take your family on vacations and enjoy life the way that it was meant to be, you know, enjoyed, you got to have money. Like, that's something else. I don't remember the exact statistics, but it's a crazy amount of people that have never, ever even left the state that they live in. Like, I can't fathom that. Can you imagine you live on this earth that's, I don't know how many, you know, how many square miles on this earth, but tens of thousands, millions, I don't know, a lot of square miles, multiple continents, multiple different oceans, dozens and dozens and dozens of countries, and you grow up and you live in a little teeny speck like this big your whole life. Can you imagine that? That's crazy. Once again, if you're one of those people that's never left your state, I'm not dogging on you. I'm just telling you, man, there's a world out there. My friend Kevin Weldon here, man, he introduced me to a place called Exuma, Bahamas, man. And that was a few years ago now. And now I've been there three different times. him and I, we got plans. We're going to own property in the Exuma, Bahamas, but I've been, all the way up in Alaska, all the way down to Florida and a bunch of states in between. I've been to Mexico. I haven't traveled the world like I want to, but I tell you, my wife and I, we got a big wish list, man. We got Ireland, we got Italy, France, that whole England, that whole UK experience where you go, check out all of those places. There's a bunch of tropical destinations that I want to go to. I'm just trying to open your guys' minds to what is possible if you will step out of your comfort zone and start taking what you perceive to be risks. They're not risks. They're not risky. You figured it out your whole life. There's been lots of times where you've went from one job to another. That might have been risky, but you figured it out, right? And I guarantee you that if any of you on this call today, if you were to go to work today and find out that you were fired and you no longer had a job, I guarantee you'd figure it out. You and your wife and your kids would not end up down on a corner with street signs, in your hands, begging for money. You would figure it out. You would become resourceful. You would get it done. I guarantee you, most of the people that are homeless, it's not because they have, they got fired or something from a job. It's unfortunate because most of the time it's drugs and alcohol and they can't overcome those demons. But for those of you that are sober or close to it, that don't have addictions, you would figure it out. You would get another job very quickly. You do whatever it took. You would figure it out. So I'm not even telling you to quit your job and go for your dream. The best thing about, one of the cool things about United States is you can keep your job, pay your bills, and then still use your spare time to go for your dreams. Jim Rohn says you should work from 9 to 5 on a living, and then you should make a fortune from 5 to 9. Whoo! Okay, I'm going to come up for a breath, guys. I'm going to come up for a breath. Anybody got anything to say in the chat? Did I lose any subscribers today? I appreciate each and every one of you. I see some stuff in the chat. Your dog's so cute. Thank you. Yeah, man, he's a pretty cool dog. He's I wasn't even there when they got him. My daughter was going shopping, and there was these two little kids that were like 6, 7 years old trying to give away these puppies. And they looked like they were frantically trying to find homes for these dogs. I think their parents had taken them there. And anyways, my daughter, who is one of the softest hearted individuals I know, just couldn't stand, like, we don't need another dog. Neither did she, but she just couldn't stand to see these poor little kids running around outside in the 75, 80 degree weather trying to give away these dogs. So she got in touch with my wife, and unbeknownst to me, my wife gave her permission, said, yeah, get the biggest male in the litter. Because we've been wanting a big dog to eventually breed, have a litter of puppies with my Belgian Malinois, Valkyrie. And the long story short, my daughter got a girl dog for her and a boy dog. Well, these dogs were a boxer pit bull mix, but we're pretty sure since we've gotten them home that they also have some Mastiff in them. And I think the people were afraid to tell people that they had Mastiff in them because they were afraid that they wouldn't want a great big huge dog. Well, it turned out this dog, Ruger, is what we named him. We think he's going to be just an absolutely massive dog, big old ball of muscle, but he is awesome. So thank you for the compliment. We love the heck out of him, even if he is breaking stuff. Like, I'm praying the light that he knocked over was my fluorescent light, the ones that shine the purple on the wall. They're like a $250, $300 light. I'm praying when I go pick it up that the actual filament, that the light isn't actually broke and that it's still, still working. But anyways, it is what it is. Yeah. Kevin says, I would have taken it anyways. And yeah, man, I agree. I agree with you, Kevin. I believe that 100%. And then Kevin also says, man, when you follow your dream in your heart, it is always worth it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me see here. Eric says, never heard the difference put that way. That makes a ton of sense. Yeah, man, that hit me like a ton of bricks too, Eric. It really did. And so often in life, 95% of the fear that we think we're feeling is really anxiety, because it's just not real. It's in our imagination. We're dreaming up and conjuring up scenarios that may or may never come into play. You know, the time to get afraid is when it actually happens. And I'll give you another example. So back in 2011, yeah, I think it was around 2011. I quit my job as a poker dealer at the MGM to go full time in a business that I was running. And unfortunately, that business didn't work out. My first wife and I ended up splitting up in that general, you know, time range, and that business didn't work. And I found myself needing a job, and I literally knew that I could call the MGM poker room manager back and probably get a job very easily. But I tricked myself into, for like a couple of weeks, I thought about, man, what are my coworkers going to say? I'm going to go back to work and they're all going to laugh at me and they're going to say, hey, ha, 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 Brad, you know, I guess that business didn't go so well, huh? Thought, what happened? Why aren't you rich? And give me a hard time and basically embarrass me for going off and starting a business and coming back and having to get my job back. But finally, the bills were to a point where, like, I just had to get over it and deal with whatever embarrassment came. And so I made the phone call. I got the job, and guess how many people made fun of me and gave me a hard time and laughed at me and joked around about the fact that my last business failed? Anybody got a guess? Zero. You know why? Because they were focused on their own lives. They didn't care about my life. And the fact of the matter is, they understood that I had the courage to do something that 99% of them didn't have the courage to do. 99% of them wouldn't have quit their job and went and done what they, you know, went for it in this business. And I tell you what, the fact that I was willing to quit my job, I probably shouldn't have quit it as soon as I did. I'm not recommending this, but the fact that I quit my job and I went for it in my business, even though it ended up failing, is the same reason that when crypto came across my desk, I was ready to go all in on it. And I quit my job too soon in crypto too. I quit my job in like July of 2019. Crypto didn't take off until December of 2020. And literally from July till December of 2020, it wasn't good. I probably shouldn't have quit. But at the same time, I learned so much. I went through so much. Same thing, you know, starting this YouTube channel. I let a guy that didn't know anything about YouTube stop me from YouTube. I thought doing a YouTube channel would be incredible. Way back in 2018, I'm listening to Chico Crypto and Crypto LINQ and a few of those guys that were big back then. And I thought I wanted to create a cryptocurrency YouTube channel. I wanted to do that. And my mentor, God bless him, I love him, may he rest in peace. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be in crypto. He's the one that got me in crypto. But when I brought up starting my YouTube channel, he said, man, there's no money in YouTube, Brad. It's a waste of your time. And you know what I did? I listened to him. You know what I should have done? I should have went to Chico Crypto or some guys that were in the cryptocurrency YouTube space that had been doing it for a year or two and asked them, because I would have gotten a totally different answer. My mentor created a YouTube channel. He did about 10 videos and then decided that YouTube wasn't going to make him any money. And then he imparted that limiting belief on me. And guess what? I believed him. So last but not least, this is totally off topic. Quit taking advice from people that don't know how to do what you want to do or that don't have any experience doing what you want to do. Why in the world did I take advice from him about a YouTube channel when he didn't have a successful YouTube channel? Like, if you're a realtor, are you going to go talk to the brokest realtor you know? that ain't sold a house in 6 months and ask him how to be successful as a realtor? Or are you going to go find the guy in your neighborhood, in your city, that's killing it, that's making $1 million a year, and ask him? You know, I've told this story before, but this happened to me a couple of times in my life. Back in about 2012, I was getting ready to buy a house on a lease option. Was going to put like $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 down. It was going to be like a rent to own where I had 2 years to get my finances and everything in place. And I went and talked to a friend of mine that sells health insurance. And he's like, oh man, that's risky and blah, blah, blah. And what if you can't finance the house in 2 years and now you're out your 10 grand and this and that. And folks, I listened to him. So when I'm telling you this stuff, it's because I made the mistake and I'm trying to keep you from making it. I listened to this guy, this dummy that didn't know anything about houses. In fact, I don't even think he owned his own house back then. And I listened to him and I went and I got my deposit back minus a couple $100, because theoretically I gave her $1,000. She could have kept the whole $1,000, but we negotiated and you know, she only kept a couple $100 for her troubles. But folks, if I would have bought that house in 2012, that was still when the market was really, really low, I'd probably still be living in it today. And it was like 175 grand back then. And right now, that house easy worth $500,000, $600,000 probably. So me going and taking advice from the wrong person cost me 400 grand plus. Like my mortgage payment on $175,000 would have been, I don't know, maybe my sister bought a house for $150,000 back then, and her mortgage was about $1,000, $950. So if my house was $25,000 more, $1,100 maybe, call it $1,200 even, $1,200 a month. And I'd owned my own home, and it was every bit as nice, probably nicer than the house that I rented in Las Vegas from 2022, 20. We moved in 21 or 22. I guess it was 21. We moved in August of 21, and we moved out in October of 24. I was paying $2,400 a month to live in a house that wasn't even as nice as the house that I would have owned. And I would have also made like $400,000 in equity. And guess what? I have a friend that specializes in lease option and rent to own opportunities. Do you think I called him? Do you think I asked him for his advice? I didn't. I can't even give you, it boggles my mind sometimes. Like, I feel like I'm a pretty intelligent guy, but man, I've made some boneheaded moves. So I'm here to tell you, if you're in an accident, you need a lawyer, don't go talk to your doctor and get advice. If you got cancer, don't go to your lawyer and ask him for advice. It's the most simplest principle in the world, but it's amazing how hard-headed most of us are, and most people never learn it. Don't take advice from people that don't have what you want to have, that don't have the knowledge that you want to have. Like, seriously, why would you go ask your brother-in-law about buying a house if he's renting an apartment? I mean, it makes sense when you talk about it, but most of us do this on a daily basis. Like, even like, I love my mom, I love my dad, but there's a lot of things that they didn't have that I wanted, and they would have been horrible people to get advice from. Now, if I wanted to know something about how to raise kids, or like my dad and I talked about relationships, he was incredible when I had relationship troubles, because my dad had been married. My dad had relationships, so he knew, but there's a lot of things that even our own parents are bad people to go to when you want advice. Like, don't go to your mom or dad and ask them if they think investing in cryptocurrency is a good idea. If they've never bought a token before, they're going to tell you, no, it's a horrible idea, because all they're seeing on the news is how it's going down and it's going to go to zero and it's fake money and it's this and it's that. So on that note, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my Monday. I love you guys. And I just hope that you guys got a little bit of value out of today. Hopefully, please do me a favor. Hear me here. If you thought of anything while I was talking today, especially in the beginning, that you believe you want to do or you should be doing, if you've got a business idea, if you're sick and tired of being overweight and out of shape, if you're sick and tired of being broke, and you know that it's time for you to start saving and investing a little bit of your income, whatever it is for you. Like if you know you've been totally absent and you're not spending anywhere near enough time with your kids, whatever it was that touched your mind, that touched your heart during this, I believe that was God talking to you through me. So please be open to it and do it now. Do it now. I don't care if you got to go to the gym in your flip-flops today. Go get a gym membership. Go for a walk. Do something. Don't say, well, gosh, it's already, 11 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'll do that tomorrow. No. Don't do it tomorrow. Do it right now. If you're overweight and out of shape and you know you don't want to be, and it makes you feel bad about yourself, and you know that you probably aren't going to live as long as you should, do it now. Do it now. Do something. Get into motion. If you got a dream, you got a business you want to own, do it now. Go get into it. Go talk to somebody else that's doing it. Get it done now. Take action now. If you don't take action right now, by tomorrow you will have forgotten what it was that you were dreaming about today. Go do it now. Get it down on paper too. If you thought of an idea, something came to you, a business plan, an idea, something hit you that you thought was amazing, put it down on paper. Last but not least, this is so important, guys. I don't know what it is about our mind, but I've literally on a walk or in my, just daydreaming, I've literally had, like Kevin has wrote this movie, The Wish List. I literally had a script for a movie come to my mind. I was on this walk out in the hills with my dogs. It was probably about an hour-long walk, and I literally thought of a movie that I thought would be awesome. And I thought about all of it. I mean, like for the whole hour, somehow I was daydreaming about this movie. And when I got home, I had the intention to write it down and kind of get it on paper. But I thought, man, that was so vivid on my walk. The way that I imagined it, the way that I thought about it, I'm not going to forget it. And I got home and I was tired and I was hot and life, the wife was home and kids were there. And I started getting involved in other things in life. And literally for the life of me, a couple of days later, I remembered that I wanted to get that movie down on paper, and I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember it the way that I was thinking about it that day. And I've had dozens, if not hundreds, of good ideas come to me in my life, and I didn't write them down because I thought I was going to remember them. This YouTube is another good example. I'll have an idea like on Wednesday or Thursday of what, something comes across my mind that I think would be amazing to create a topic around and to create a talk around for Monday. And I'm thinking about it. I'm daydreaming about it. I'm thinking about, oh yeah, this saying here would be fantastic. Making a living while making a difference, or chief cause of failure and unhappiness is doing what you want now versus what you want most. So those are two that I have ingrained in my head because I've said them thousands of times, but I'll hear something that I think, oh man, that is gold. That's gold. I gotta say that on my next YouTube channel. And if I don't write it down, I promise you the next YouTube live comes along and I cannot remember that for the life of me. I might have said it to myself 10 times, like I thought I had it. Write it down, write it down, write it down. There's something about writing stuff down that makes it real. There's something about writing stuff down and pointing your mind at it that causes us to attract it and manifest it into our lives. So with that, guys, I'm really excited for tomorrow, Trader Tuesdays. Not only are we going to give away $50 worth of the WEEX token, but we're also going to do another giveaway of my projects token. Something else that's super exciting, folks, is the devs are working full steam. we're going to actually be able to announce the details of this cryptocurrency project very, very soon, like super soon. So I didn't mention it before, but one of the things that you guys are going to want to do, I think the easiest way to transition from YouTube into the Telegram group that we're going to have is if you guys go get in the Telegram group that I already have. It's in the description of this video. The Infinite Crypto Cruiser Telegram group, my main Telegram group for this channel. Go get in that group so that when we open the gates, open the door to the project Telegram group, you guys are going to get the notification within Telegram. You've already got your Telegram accounts created and you are ready to get moved over into that new Telegram group, because folks, we're going to launch this thing right into the storm of Bitcoin 2025. Like literally, it looks like there's no reason we can't have this token turned on and ready for people to buy before Bitcoin 2025 on May 27th. So get ready for that. But tomorrow, not only am I going to give away $50 worth of WEEX tokens, but I'm going to also give away $100 worth of my project's tokens. So looking forward to doing that. We're going to have probably 6 winners tomorrow, a couple of people that get WEEX tokens and 4 people that get my project's tokens. So we're going to, you're going to have $25 worth of the project's tokens. And I can tell you this much, you're going to want to own at least a minimum of $50 worth of these tokens. So you're going to be halfway there if you win the giveaway tomorrow. So with that, folks, love you all. Thank you all for being here. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and we will see you tomorrow. God bless. Bye-bye for now.